friends, and welcome back to my crafty space. My name is Crystal, and in today's video, I am going to be putting together my next 2 spreads using the Strong Story Kit for StoryKitCrush. If you've never heard of StoryKitCrush before, this is a series where every month I pick a story kit from my stash and do my best to use up the entire kit and tell as many stories as possible throughout the course of a month. Last week, I went ahead and told my first 2 stories, and today I am back for story number 3 and 4. The first one is going to be one about giving birth to my daughter, so telling a little bit of my experience, my birth story with her, and this is going to go inside of a 6x8 story album. The second story that I'm telling today is a story about coming out of COVID, so about how powerful we are when we work together, especially as we work together as an entire world, and then also how there are some things that even post-COVID we will have to keep on going with. So I am going to get you guys on fast forward, put both of these spreads together, and then when I've got everything completed, we'll slow back down to close out for today. So let's go ahead and jump right in. All right, friends, so I'm going to set aside the 9x12 spread for now and get started on this 6x8 one about my daughter's birth story first. So for this project here, I've pulled aside a couple of the journaling cards. One that has, I believe that was a marketing card that says my story is one of strength and weakness. And blah, blah, blah. I don't remember what else it says there. And then the second card that I pulled out was the 3x4 that says a story of strength, which is really what inspired this entire spread in and of itself. I printed a couple of photos from when my daughter was born. So the one that I just worked on there, and then this smaller one that you can see in the middle of my screen, both of those were taken by a photographer that came in to the hospital room, which I think is kind of a thing, because we did the same thing with Jonah. So we had a photographer come in and take pictures of Izzy and Aaron and I, which I'm so grateful that they did this, because I don't really have, we did do the professional infant pictures and like pictures throughout Izzy's whole first year. But to have these pictures of us as a family the day after Izzy was born are just priceless. And it's very nice because I actually put on some makeup. I think I did anyways. And I washed my hair. So I felt like a human being in those pictures, and that makes me very grateful. And then I also have a picture that you can't see right now, but it's underneath all this stuff. But when I pull it out, that is a picture that was taken of me and Isabella moments after I gave birth to her. And it's a picture of myself that I don't particularly like, because I had a very, very intense, really hard labor with Isabella. Actually, really, I did with both of my kids. And so I look like death. I legit look like I was on the threshold of dying, and it's very, very unflattering. But when I was deciding to actually go and tell this story, I decided that photo was really at its core the best depiction of what this experience was like, and I felt like it needed to be part of this story. So especially when, if and when Isabella's older, and if this is ever something that she is curious about, maybe she decides that she wants to have kids of her own and she wants to know more about what was it like? Although maybe it would be better for her to read this after she has her own kids so that she's not terrified of it. Or else maybe she'll decide she doesn't want kids. Anyway, I just feel like it would be, I've always been very curious about what this was like for my mom and for my sisters, my sister-in-laws. And I think that it is a story that is worth telling and documenting. And it ultimately is a story of strength, because I feel like there is no other moment in my life where I have felt that, moment of, I don't know if I can keep doing this. And yet you still do, because, that's just what you do. You just keep going. And we kept going, and we had a good happy ending to all of it. We got our children out of all of the struggle. So the struggle was worth it. So anyway, that is my story here. So what I did, just briefly, I printed my journaling in these 3x8 sections, and there are 2 of them. So those are just going to go as an insert. I cut a piece of the teal card off so that I could layer it with my photo on the left side, and then a very small piece I put on the right side underneath my title, which is A Story of Strength, and that I cut off of the top of the 3x4 card. For the last page, there was only a small section of text left to put on there, so I printed the photo that you can see on the page, I believe at like 2.75 by 5 inches, so it is very tall and skinny, but you can still see all the important parts. So that didn't really bother me. And then that goes in the bottom there just to fill in the extra space, but it also allows Aaron to be in this story as well. So, which is funny, I actually forgot to put the part about him. My husband almost passed out when I was giving birth because he hyperventilated himself as he was trying to help me breathe. I totally forgot to put that in there, which is a bummer. I'll have to tell that another time maybe. And then on the larger photo, I have one of the plastic phrases, which is, I believe it says something about like, a moment where you feel like you can't go on and you do, which ultimately made me think of this story right here. So that is part of the reason why I told this story. And then for the main photo on the left, the one of me looking like death, I printed that photo, I believe at 6 inches by maybe 5 inches, maybe 5.5 inches. And then I took the marketing card and trimmed it down so that I've just got the quote there. And then I took the striped card, which was a 4x6 striped card, and I cut off a small piece of it, which I did when I story planned for this kit because I wanted to stretch that striped card as far as I possibly could. And then I layered that in between the quote and my photo so that there's a bridge that goes in between them. It just helps to, it gives like, it's kind of like the rule of 3. So you've got the photo and the stripe card and the quote cards. You've got 3 elements there, but I just really like the way that looks. And then I call that one done. So then we're going to move on to the 9x12 spread that I have planned. So first I took a piece of my textured white cardstock, which I am loving using textured white cardstock lately. It's just got like, I don't know, so much texture to it. I mean, it is textured white cardstock, so of course it does. But I don't know. I like the way that the light hits it. I like the way that that my elements pop off of it because it is textured. So I've got a piece of that in a 12x12. I cut it down to a 9x12. And then I have this large photo of Aaron and I with our masks on. I took this photo when we went on a recent trip up to Mackinac Island for a friend's wedding. And I am layering up 3 of these plastic phrases right above our heads, and then I'm just going to trim them off. So I had them interact because if I were to put them totally on the page, it would have covered up our faces. So by having them interact with the edge and just trimming some pieces off of it, you still get the full-on faces there of us with our masks. Now, this is a trick that I do all the time when I'm working on a larger canvas and I want there to be some kind of grid aspect to my page, is I will just add a tiny itty bitty bit of roller adhesive into the middle of my element, and then I'll position it on the page and press it down, and then do that for all of my pieces until I'm happy with where they are located. And then once I'm happy with that, I can pull it back up and then put my real adhesive down and stick it back down in the same place where I had it before. That just helps me to make sure that I'm positioning everything evenly on the page and that I don't accidentally stick something down and then I can't get it back up. So definitely a little super simple trick there to help you get things positioned the way you want them. And then for my journaling, all that I did was I took 2 of those 4x4 journaling cards and typed up my text on there. I print my text directly onto the physical elements. And I typically, well, I am now including that link on all of my videos in the description box. So if you're ever looking for my tutorial on how to do that, you can check out the link down below. It's my favorite way to add text because I can add a lot of text into small sections. And if there's one thing that is undeniable about me, it's that I am unable to be concise. So everything, of course, has to have a million words and an essay on it. So I took these two cards. One says powerful, one says keep going. The powerful one I used as a place to talk about the power of working together and how we have done that as a world throughout COVID. And then keep going is talking about how we need to keep going with certain practices to stay safe. All right, friends, that completes both of my spreads for today. So these stories, I am just so happy to have them documented, especially this one, which was a really lengthy story and why it ended up being 4 pages of a 3x8 text. But I actually am really glad to have this written down before so much time passes that you don't remember, or at least I don't remember, what exactly happened during this really momentous moment in time. So really, really grateful for the opportunity to tell this story. And then I also really love this one, especially... I love the story, but I especially love the aesthetic of this page. I love clean lines and grids and just the opportunity to use primarily photos and words. That is, and it will always be my favorite thing with scrapbooking is photos and words. All right, friends, well, that is going to do it for me for this week's segment of StoryKitCrush. I will be back again next week on Friday with my next 2 spreads, so make sure to check back here then. If you are sharing your pages for StoryKitCrush, make sure to hashtag them over on Instagram so I can see them and read them and share them as well. That is definitely the highlight of my entire week, is seeing all of the stories that you guys have been telling throughout the week for yourselves. That is going to be it. So until next time, I hope that you guys have a wonderful rest of your day. Enjoy the weekend ahead, and I will catch you all in the next video. Bye, friends.